Hey, welcome back. It says we're live. Let me know for sure if you can hear me and see me okay with no interruption. I'm gonna take a drink of my coffee. It makes me twitch. There we go. 5x5 says my new moderator. Everybody give a little clap for Dynamite there. He's got a blue wrench. Looky there. Moving on up. Right? Jefferson style. You made it to the top of the heap of this place. Oh yeah. I says something, I guess. Thank you all for being here. I couldn't just leave y'all alone on Christmas. So I had to come back, you know. And basically this is, if you're in the rebellion, and I realize that that's a little hard to see, all right, because it's done in green. And for some reason, this camera doesn't entirely like it. Let's see if I can adjust the angles or anything. Let me know, can you guys see these words, or do they look like they're coming in like hard to see? If they are, then we're going to go through them line by line anyway. And I'll hop in and out of the chat. Let me thank everybody for being here. Sherman Sales, Dynamite, the people I missed above him. Pilgrim, I believe, was the first in the house. Coffee first didn't speak. Dylan, thank you for being here. Forrest, how you doing? No, you cannot see them. He's like, no, we can't see shit but blurry stuff. Okay, well, that's okay, because I'm going to go through them line by line for you. And mental note, I will use the blue or black ink. Maybe if I tilt it a little bit. Nope, doesn't help. I know what is there, and you're going to hear it anyway. Thank you all for being here. But good, that leaves you in suspense, so you're not reading ahead in the class, and you can kind of see this stuff up here, but you can't really see this stuff down here. It kind of works out that we're not like, got it, thank you, I'm out. So there's that. Let's see who else is in here. Noel the Younger, Merry Christmas. Dome Seeker, welcome. Joe Morgan, hello, hi. Coffee, yes, coffee good. Black ink is the most visible. Okay, well, that's good. From now on, I will stick to black ink, but for this purpose, it kind of works out that way. Like I said, we always get those ones that want to jump ahead in the class. So we have people that are insistent they're never going to bug out. Even if they see which way the wind is blowing, they're going to hold fast and stay put. A lot of people will probably be like that. So let's say you find yourself behind enemy lines, and now, you've got to do something, because that's just who you are. And you're going to be a rebel, an insurgent. Okay? You're going to help fight the good fight behind enemy lines. Upcoming, let's say, like the movie that's upcoming, Texas secedes, and you're stuck in Texas, and you're uber woke, all right? But you can't leave Texas, or you just choose not to leave Texas, or you're in New York, California, someplace like that, and you're just like, you know what? Yeah, we're on the wrong side of things. I'm a conservative, but I'm going to stay put. I'm going to take the fight. This works for both sides, which I know some people are like, oh, why are you giving information to the enemy? It's just knowledge. It's on how you apply it. All right. So first, in rebels, you've got rebel territory and you've got enemy territory. Your rebel territory will be any state that would happen to secede during a civil war. Okay. Pretty well common sense. And on this side, it's a very small side, because you're basically going to have your rebel army, which will consist of your state guard, your militias, and other. I put other because that can be any formerly active Army, Air Force, or Naval base commanders, installations that basically defect from the Union and choose to be on the secession side. All right, that's other. Okay. But for everybody else, mostly the people here, you're going to probably be on this side if you are a freedom fighter. And remember, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist thing. Okay. So we won't get too in the mud and in the details on here. because I am now part of that with the YouTube partnership program. So they're watching me with a closer eye. If you are in occupied territory, all right, like Red Dawn, you're behind the Ruski lines, the bad guys. You're within their borders now. Then you will probably, and you're putting up resistance, you will be in the insurgent category, which means you will either be ODA or some form. I say ODA because that is who I'm familiar with, okay? When we fight wars overseas and we need to train indigenous personnel, normally you'll have like an A team, ODA, they'll go in and train indigenous individuals or groups on how to create an insurgency, all right? And they will be on loan from these guys, all right? They'll come in and train the locals. You'll be a local individual, a local militia member, or a member of a cell, which could be 2 or more guys. We all know what cells are, the sleeper kinds. You know what I mean? They're just waiting to get you, jump on out the bushes and get you. So you're going to fall into one of those categories there if you're behind enemy lines and putting up a fight. You already being behind enemy lines will probably be the last 3, unless you actually travel to the rebel-held territory, join their ranks, and say, hey, I'm really good at creating insurgencies. And then they'll send you back in to train these other 3 groups, individuals, militias, or cells, okay? Now, when you're in these areas, destabilization, that's the name of the game. You want to destabilize the enemy, all right, in that area, behind their lines. You want to hit them where it hurts, all right? And talking back to ODA and destabilization, in Iraq, we had a problem with the Iranian Guard coming over from Iran and training local militias and individuals on how to create things that go boom, all right, that they put in the ground, that they put under cars, and all kinds of different things, all right, projectiles, all kinds of nasty things. That's basically the same thing as ODA, all right, what the Guard Corps did. They come over, train up the individuals to destabilize, all right? Now, when we're talking about destabilization, we're talking about local government, local infrastructure, and local commerce, okay? Everybody follow along? Tracking like a tank. Oh, God, I hate it when I get that stuck in my head. We all know who says that. If you watch him, you know that. Destabilization of local government. How do you do it? It's not rocket surgery. Really isn't. Okay? Blackmail, which you can't see. Intimidation or assassination. Those are some of the prime ways, the 3 prime ways to destabilize local government. By say local government, I mean local government officials, the people that are in charge. You've got to bear in mind, as I've said in other videos, there are normally only a handful, normally less than a dozen. Regardless of how big a city is, there's less than a dozen people that actually control your life. Think about it. You got mayors on a local level, mayors, chiefs of police, sheriff's department, city council members. Those are the ones that pull all of the strings or most of the strings. All right. And by going through blackmail, all right, there's all kinds of ways you can persuade somebody to do things that they really probably wouldn't do by blackmail. Use your imagination, all right? It's not that hard. From framing people to catching them in honey pots, all kinds of ways. Intimidation. Well, guys in the middle of the night, taking them from their bed, whatever the case may be, intimidation. It's pretty effective. Night letters in Afghanistan were a form of intimidation. For those of you who are new here and have never heard of night letters, that is when the Taliban would see a local official, a local imam, a local mayor, somebody that was in a position of power working with U.S. forces. And when we left the village, and sometimes they weren't little villages, big villages too, they would simply come down, pin a note to the guy's door saying, if you cooperate with them again, we're going to take your head. All right. And they'd let it be known that this letter was put out there. And then sometimes they'd cooperate again, sometimes they wouldn't. But if they did, it was not uncommon for them, the Taliban, come back down and lop their head off and put it right where the note was at. All right. Saying, see, so that the next guy was less likely to cooperate with us. Okay. Intimidation can be very effective, but you got to follow through, sometimes that's, yeah. And assassination. Okay. It ties in closely with intimidation on certain aspects, especially during a time of elections. Elections are a great time. Election years, months, days are a great time for the destabilization of governments. Okay? Keep that in mind, because I think we got an election year coming up. So pay attention to what's going on. Local info. Is everybody tracking so far? Are we good? Anything, any points anybody would like to make? Joe Morgan says, kinda a Middle East version of a cross lighting. Yeah, I mean, yes, I get the reference. Yeah, everybody, okay. First says tracking. All right. Local infrastructure. Dumpster says, good, keep going. She's like, I gotta go milk cows and stuff. Get this done. Local infrastructure. How can you, and let me back that up a little bit. All right. When it comes to the destabilization of local government, remember, once you're in a civil war scenario, it's not your local government. All right. These people are not your friends. They're not your associates. They're not, no, they are your enemy. And, should be treated as such. Okay. Hunting people is no different than hunting animals. All right. You learn their behaviors, learn their patterns, and we all have them. Even those who are trained not to have patterns fall into patterns from time to time. All right. We are creatures of habit. Local infrastructure, food, water, electric, communications, and trash. All right. Yes, trash. That's on there. Believe me, I know you can't see it, but it's the very last one. All right. By disrupting local infrastructure, the ways to get food, the ways to get water, electricity, communications, and trash removal, they destabilize the government because people lose faith. People start to question why these locals can't provide these services. It happened in Iraq with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda provided trash services for people after we went in and shock and awed the place, knocked out the grid, knocked out everything, all the infrastructure. Trash started piling up and people were getting tired of it. So they literally had trashmen. Al-Qaeda had trashmen that went around and picked up garbage and took it away, because you don't want garbage outside your house. And one of the services that government provides, legitimate government provides, is trash removal. So in the eyes of the local populace, well, the Americans aren't here removing our trash. It's these guys. But if you can disrupt that service, all right, if you can disrupt that service and make these guys at the top look incompetent, then you're helping destabilize the government. All right. Food. Again, lots of ways to disrupt the food supply. you know, uh, the delivery vehicles, uh, the delivery locations. You think about it, and there's a way. There's a way to do it. Okay, most of the distributors fuel up at different locations. Disable the distributors' vehicles. In an insurgency, these are things that you would actually do. Water, the water supply. Well, you could do an armed assault on a water department, I suppose. But the best way to disrupt the water supply in a first world nation is to simply go down to step three, the electric supply. And these are in no particular order, just so you know. Disrupt the electrical supply because the water is only going to be good for so long or be able to flow for so long without electricity because pumps run off of electricity. Okay? So if you can disrupt the electric supply, you will, in effect, disrupt the water and the food supply and communications, possibly trash. The biggest one you can hit is the electrical supply. As we've talked numerous times about grid down scenarios, knocking out the grid to small local areas or even larger areas only takes a handful of people. So if you actually had cells or local militias assaulting the power grid of a small area or region, the effects could be devastating with very little cost and very little risk. The numerous points where power has to be relayed, you just disrupt one or two of those and you have cascading failure. Okay, we see it all the time in the winter when trees drop across power lines, short out. Lost the term. Uh, what are they called? Someone throw it in the chat. You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of it. Joe Morgan's. Sanitation is important, yes. But if you take out the substations, if you disrupt the substations, then it's gonna cause hell on that area. And then if people go out to fix these, all right, these are people who are actively supporting the enemy. All right, you eliminate those people, and then the next people don't want to go out to repair the substation. You're like, no, the last two crews that went out got hit in ambushes. We're not going out there to damn with that substation. Okay, transformers, yes, transformers at substations, and transformers can be, some holes that leak coolant out, and the transformers overheat. Okay, how the holes get in there, I don't know. All kinds of ways. But remember, this is war. There will be tolls. Okay. So again, you knock out the electricity and people go out to repair the damages. Did anybody ever see, was that Return of the Living Dead? Send paramedics, and the paramedics come out and the paramedics get ambushed by the zombies, and the zombie goes, send more paramedics. Eventually paramedics are going to stop coming. Mm-hmm. Same thing with repairmen. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Communications. Most of the communications nowadays require internet to some degree. Internet or electricity. You knock out internet and electricity, and communications go dark. Okay? Most communications rely on cell networks. Look around in your area. I did videos in the Insurgency series a couple years ago on how to take down cell towers. It's not that hard. All right. Most of them, all the coax cable was rubber foam with copper and stuff like that. Stuff that burns. All right. Knock out a few cell towers in the area, you'll have a communications blackout, at least a small one. All right. The more you hit, the further it goes. Hypothetically speaking, of course, this is for educational purposes. Did I mention that? Okay, I've mentioned that. Outlaw Farm says transportation will stop too. Yes. I mean, you knock out the power, people can't make and receive phone calls for orders. People can't deliver things because Who's going to accept the delivery of poultry when all their freezers are shut down? No. Buses won't be running on schedule. Things like that. If you live in a urban environment like a city, you can use these tactics, techniques, and procedures with devastating results. Okay, I'm just thinking in a smaller city, but yes, if you implement this on a large city, it's and the best part about it is that once a few people, a cell, a small militia group, whatever, would enact these techniques and procedures and tactics on a large city, the population then becomes a problem for itself. Okay, because we all see how people act when the internet goes down. You can make entire cities start to self-destruct. Okay, the looting, the rampaging, the rioting in the streets, and you can sit back on a hillside and just chuckle, hypothetically speaking, of course. Forrest says, wouldn't internet be knocked out when electricity goes down? It all depends. Uh, some internet travels through different fiber optic lines. Some internet simply goes across. I mean, for your cell phone, the internet on your cell phone is from the communication towers. Communication towers, the cell towers, not the standalone, not the towers what you see with the electricity lines going. The cellular towers, the communication towers. They have generators at their base. All right, so that in the event of power outage, the generators kick on. So you would still have Wi-Fi via telecommunications towers until the fuel ran out and those towers started to shut down. That's why if you had a dozen guys and you could hit electricity and the towers simultaneously, that would be the ideal way to go about that. Okay. What are we saying in the chat here? Hey, ham radios and CBs will be our communication. Well, I mean, it all depends. I mean, you can use ham radios and CBs, but what you're communicating with and who you're communicating with will be dependent on what you're communicating will determine whether you're going to use ham or CB. For example, if you are an insurgent and you are, because you're an insurgent, you are behind enemy lines. The last thing you would ever want to do is fire up a ham or CB radio, because they will find you. Because they will. Electronic warfare, EW, they do have counter intelligence. Okay, counterintelligence will be monitoring in a civil war. If if insurgent activity is starting to peak in an area, they will be monitoring the ham, CB, regular cell traffic. They'll be listening. The big eye of Moloch, the eye in the sky, the ear that listens behind every phone call will be active. Okay, and you key that mic, and for more than 3 seconds, they will know precisely where you're at. If you're using a repeater, it might take them a little while to triangulate, but if you do it enough times, they'll figure out where you're at, unless you're always on the move. So the best way, I'll say again, as I've said before, in a SHTF scenario where it's just whatever grid down, yes, communicate with CB, communicate with ham. In an insurgency, communicate face to face. Face to face. That's why they were so effective overseas against us. They weren't on satellite phones a lot, and they weren't on CB radios or SINGARs or you name it, cell phones. The courier. You always hear, you watch these CIA shows where there's, we found this guy, but to actually get to that guy, we got to follow this guy who's going to carry a handwritten note. The reason they're putting things like that in shows is because that's what actually transpires. And that's what makes it so hard to get to people, because you have one person passing a note to somebody else. Person one only knows person two only knows person three doesn't know person one or two, or person one, and you pass that note through three or four people, or one good trusted person that will die for you before they'll let that message get out. That is secure communications. Meeting somebody face to face, naked in a swimming pool, no electronics. That's how you know somebody's not wearing a wire. Okay. Uh, but I get a little off topic there. Well, actually, I was still on topic. Smoke signals. Yeah. I'm over here. We're going to take down that bridge at 2:00. Yes. Pony Express, basically a human Pony Express. Learn code. There is no actually code to learn. You have to invent your own code. All right. Outlaw Farms. It's good to say learn code. I mean, the concept is good. If you're going to code, for example, this book, this Bible, this exact one, all right, or some other book, you have one, your friend has another, and you go by your own code based off of that specific book, and nobody knows which book except for you and the person you're communicating with. Okay. So you have to pick a book that has a lot of different words, a lot of different phrases, and figure it out. This, third line down, second word in, first letter. Okay. Whatever. Though you need to create your own code if you're going to talk in codes. All right. Because if not, there are also these things called code breakers. Signals intelligence. And guess what they do for a living? They break codes. All right. They break encrypted codes. So unless you're using something that is end to end, and by end to end, I don't mean like encrypted electronically. I mean like only you know the code, and only the person at the other side knows the code, and it's coming from a source that nobody else knows. That way you keep it an enigma. Okay. Yeah. Enigma. Get it? Like the Enigma machine. Ha ha. Look, see, Wisconsin Farm Boy just said score a couple of Enigma machines. Yes, but unfortunately, we got them too now. So the West has those and knows all about it. Beaver tail slaps, LOL. Yes. Codes change every day or you'll get caught. Yeah, but somebody always knows the codes. You intercept the wrong person and you have their code book and know what the next day is going to be. Or again, come up with your own codes. Okay. There are some smart people out there, very highly intelligent people out there that are really, really good at solving puzzles. All right. So again, local infrastructure, food, water, electric, communications, and trash. And then I'll get more into this once I fire up the Patreon and stuff like that. I'll get into the actual warlord side, how if you want and your group want to actually take over the local government where you're at after or in the process of the ending days of a war, because you don't want to do it in the beginning because you're still behind enemy lines. But if the lines start progressing towards you and it looks like your side's going to win, then you might want to be able to set yourself up for success to where, hey, we're responsible for your victory in this area. So our reward's going to be this. And the people already like us here. We'll get into that later. Local commerce, disrupting travel and tourism, restaurants, banking, and shopping. All right. This is where the real insurgency, nasty, nitty gritty stuff comes down. All right. And not everyone will have the stomach for it. Okay. But by making these things no-goes, you'll really put a hurting on that enemy in that area. All right. On the local government in that area. When people no longer feel safe going shopping, when they're no longer safe going banking, or banking institutions don't exist anymore because something bad happened to them, when restaurants aren't safe anymore, you will drastically impact the economy of that area. Okay. So this is something before you would ever get to this point, you need to make sure that you don't require the local economy anymore for your own sustainment. Okay. If you still require the local economy, you have a job that would be impacted based off of a decline and all of that stuff. Do not ever proceed with attacking those. All right. Because that's where you're getting into. You went from insurgent to terrorist which you're going to be seen that way anyway. But that is where you're not going to win the hearts and minds of the people. All right. But if you make it to where you're only attacking, let's say they have an not an occupation force, but let's say the local government predominantly does their shopping in one or two different places. You level those places. You make people afraid to go to those places. It's primarily going to affect the local government, the local soldiers, whatever. Banking. Who do they use? Which banks have sided with this government? Not normally banks choose both sides or try to stay neutral, but that's not always the case. And in the event that you would know that, okay, the government here uses this bank for their handle all their payroll for their government employees, and you happen to level every branch in the area, one by one or all at the same time, that's going to put a hurting on the entire sector of that government. Okay, they're not going to be able to meet their payroll, and they're not going to be able to do business because it's going to take a while for them to switch financial institutions, and then the other financial institutions in the area, once it's known that this is why it happened, are going to be like, oh, no, your check's no good here, buddy, because the insurgents are a little bit batshit. All right, and they're no. All right. Same with restaurants, and that will knock down travel and tourism. Who wants to go on? Hey, I got an idea. Let's go take a plane trip and go take a tour of Gaza. Let's go to Western Ukraine, or Eastern Ukraine, Western Russia on a tour. No, nobody wants to do that because it's dangerous. Hello, if you're some reporter that's like, oh, I got to get out there and see what's going on. Yeah, you're the odd duck that will do that. But your average person wants to avoid conflict zones as much as possible, and that will drastically impact travel and tourism in an area, especially if the area is dependent on it. All right, like Florida, if a far left insurgency rose in Florida, it'd be bad for the state's economy. Okay. What's everybody saying here? Joe Morgan says, yeah, nobody wants to invade the Rocky Mountains for a reason. Yeah, Rocky Mountains. Mountainous terrain favors rebellions and insurgencies. That's it. Hey, Chewbacca, how you doing? Playing some Call of Duty. See, that's VR. You're training virtually. I mean, the U.S. military trains with VR. Why can't you? Mountains and woods make good strongholds. They do. However, they're also if there's a limited population. Here's something I want my people that are in mountainous wooded terrain, to think about. In the event that there are sparsely populated areas with mountains and woods, if there is a density in the rebellion, if there is a large rebel presence in the area, do not think that the enemy will not just carpet bomb the entire area. Okay? Not just mountains. You want caverns, caves in your area. There's a reason that the Taliban dug into caves and cavern systems, all right, before we got there, because the Russians, just like us, would carpet bomb entire hillsides, entire mountainsides, entire valleys, okay, just leveling shit, all right. and don't make the same mistake they did. Learn from other people's mistakes. All right. Yeah, till they fly in with Blackhawks. It's not so much the Blackhawks that I worry about. Blackhawks, they're personnel transport, but for the most part, you can't fix weapon systems to them. But it's more of the aerial bombardment that would concern me. Same reason the Viet Cong dug in. Exactly, Pilgrim. Moab, yeah, mother of all bombs. It would be a mother. AC gunships. Ooh, yes. Now we're talking at Benoit. Oh, I'm gonna get a drink of this coffee here. And it's still hot. That's nice. It's Yeti. It's the only Yeti thing I own. Someone gave this to me. I don't remember who, but thank you. Okay, I don't remember who it was. Yeah, Puff the Magic Dragon. Yeah, that's the AC-130 gunship is it just yeets death from above, just throwing it out there at you. Gregory says people dropping stuff from drones. That is what you need to worry about. No, people don't need to drop stuff from drones anymore. You'll see in the Ukrainian conflict, they have the little drones that go over and they're dropping explosives. But if you actually look at Gregory, Google the Switchblade. All right, we make them here. I think in Alabama and California. I want to say there's two of their manufacturing facilities. The Switchblade 300 and 600, I think. Don't quote me on the actual numbers. No, the Switchblade 600 is the tank buster. But they're actual drones that are already armed with explosives, and they just literally are suicide drones. They just fly straight into the person or the target, whether it be a person or a piece of equipment like a tank. Okay, they just fly right into them and detonate. And they're relatively inexpensive to make. So don't think that the government isn't currently cranking those things out and putting them into their inventory. Switchblades are nasty, but they're cool. I'm like, man, something that you can lock onto somebody and track, and then just wait for them to be clear of collateral damage and push a button, and they just zip right in and boop. Yeah, turn you into pink mist, boy. Plus, it sees in the dark. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I mean, my drones are. It just blows my mind. Send it up in the air, lock onto me, track me while I'm moving. I mean, that's cool. That's cool, and it's not armed. I mean, but it's cool. Get your wagon circled by. I can't see because there's a little symbol there. So something Baltimore middle schoolers on Huffies. Okay. Get your wagon circled by some Baltimore middle schoolers on Huffies. Oh, that sounds familiar. I've seen that somewhere. I don't recall where. Hey, Scott. How you feeling? You feeling better, buddy? Hope you're feeling better. But yeah, there are all kinds of things. And what you got to remember also, when you're doing these activities, insurgent activities behind enemy lines, remember surveillance. And that's why I always I try to tell people and harp on people, pay attention to your surroundings now, because if not, it'll bite you in the ass in the future. All right. For example, between where I am now and 11 miles to the Ohio border, on the highway, just on the highway, there are seven weather cameras. Okay. That's not to include all the ones that are not weather cameras. Okay. I can get online right now and pull them up, and I can see traffic out of, you go from camera to camera. All right. Surveillance is going to be your worst enemy if you are in an insurgent situation. All right. You want to be as off grid as possible in your activities. You don't want to use your vehicles. You don't want to be seen on camera without your face covered. You just don't. You want to be as low tech and off the grid as possible. And as society progresses forwards, this will become harder and harder for every one of us. Okay? But keep it in mind. Joe Morgan says, turns out a load of steel number 4 Magnum waterfowl loads make a drone into a tiny little pile of scrap. Well, yeah, that's good if you see it before it sees you. But I promise you, the one I like, just mine, if I send it up to its maximum altitude, you won't know it's there. It will still be able to see you because I can go and zoom the camera in, and it will see you, and you won't even hear it. You won't even know it's there. It's just up there, 1,500 feet. Yeah, 1,000 feet straight up. Just there chilling, looking at you. So imagine what the military ones are capable of. I mean, some of them have like what was it? It was like a 45-mile range for some of the switchblades. And you're talking the altitude ridiculous. The camera systems on them ridiculous. And so you're just standing, beside a building or in an alleyway, and this thing's got its eyeballs on you, and then it just drops. It just makes a beeline and just puts all its speed into slamming into you with a high explosive charge that detonates right before impact. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, you got to be pretty quick. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you couldn't, like, the old Heisman. I'm not saying you couldn't. I'm just saying I wouldn't want to try it. That's just me. So the best thing to do is to simply be aware. Intelligence. Are these things being used in your area? If so, who? Who's using them? Where are they located? And that's possibly a target for your local militia, your local individuals, or your local cells. All right. Neutralize the threat. Okay. Okay. They ain't going to fly themselves. They might be drones, but they're not going to fly themselves. So if you can remove the operator, and those ones are operated locally, it's the big Reapers and the Predators and stuff like that are remote, like way remote, like across around the world or wherever. Well, you know what I mean. Far away, flying them in on you. Those are the ones that when they send the Reapers and the Predators, then they're really not happy with you. You're a real target of interest. Let's see. Joe says, if it gets cold enough, maybe these damn Californians will leave. Well, I don't know if it's global warming or if we're experiencing global cooling or just climate change. I don't know. But maybe. Dynamite says there are probably multiples keeping an eye on you and a few others. I wouldn't be surprised. I think they'll just accident me. They'll be like, oh, he's already said he wouldn't, Clinton himself, so we're going to have to just have his brakes fail or drive his car remotely off a cliff or something like that. Probably be an accident. Horrible accident. Edmund was, most of the cameras in cities are Wi-Fi. If you can disrupt the signal, they will be blind. And there you go. See, people who think outside the box, actually think things through. She says, Dad just walked by and said, he's on all kinds of lists. Yes, I am. I'm really surprised I'm not on a no-fly list yet. But I'm no threat to that sector. So, I like traveling. I do. They call those accidents Arkancide. Yeah. So, any other things you'd like to talk about on as far as local insurgencies? Now, like I said, I'm not going to go into the hows specifically for certain things like I did before on this, but I will sooner or later, when I get around to it, fire up the Patreon and put it on there for as cheap as I can. And then we'll talk about the how to, like the good old fashioned ones, the how to derail, uh, derail trains, the how to actually bring down towers, bridges, um, all the fun stuff that I did before. Some of y'all like those videos. And yeah, I know, who was it? Someone asked about the old trailer I used to use with the nukes launching from the submarines. I do like that old trailer, and I can use it again, but I have to use it right now on only when I make videos, not on lives, because the platform that I created it on is not compatible with YouTube as far as live streaming. So it's saved in my Power Director video editor, and I can use it on videos, but I can't use it on lives. So until I figure out how to cut that out, I can't use it on lives, but we'll figure something out down the road. I'm still learning all of this. Oh, Dynamite has a question. I have a question for the chat. How many don't know who Jan Michael Vincent is? Is this the Airwolf guy you were talking to me about the other day? Dynamite's on this kick about why I don't know Jan Michael Vincent, because I feel and look older than I am. Okay? I mean, he comes with, like I said, he comes to me with these questions like, hey, you remember when we were kids and we used to have to go and our mom would give us the message, we'd take it to the telegraph and they would do. No, dude. No, I don't know. Before my time, maybe not yours, before my time. I don't do. No, we had this when I was a kid, not this. Okay? Love you, brother, but geez. Pretty sure it's the Airwolf guy. Yeah, that's what he said, but I don't, I was never in the Airwolf. Pagers. Yeah, we had pagers, All right. Well, if you are caught behind enemy lines, be a good insurgent. If you can't, if you are incapable of being a good insurgent, provide support. Okay. Operate a safe house. Be like, hey, hot meals for people on the go in between, from new people coming in, old people going out, whatever. Do whatever you can. All right. But above all, remain quiet. Savagely telegraphs still need to learn Morse code. Yeah. I know, like SOS is at ... dash or something like that. .. one. I forget. I don't need that anymore. I got, whatever. What the hell is Airwolf? Where is it? Google. It was a show. It was a pretty cool helicopter back in the 80s. I think it was. It was one of Airwolf. Yeah, 80s Airwolf. It was a helicopter and it had machine guns and stuff, and they did missions. I think it hid in a mountain or something. Had like a Batman cave type deal, but with a helicopter. Dynamite says Google it. Dynamite actually knows what Google is, Mr. Airwolf. Oh, shots fired. Joe Morgan says, okay, I wasn't alive in the 80s. Oh, there you go. Great. Oh, that's great. We're going to need young, strong people like Joe. All right. Well, how long have we been on here? We've been on here for 49 minutes. Do we want to stay a little bit longer and just talk about random stuff? Rebel Army, you're going to have rules of engagement. So if you're a child of chaos then this is your side. All right. If you are a peace must rule the world, we gotta do things the right way. This is your side. If you believe that there should be laws to arm conflict, this is your side. If you're like heads on pikes, this is your side. Okay, because there's going to be a lot more leeway with what you do, and as long as you're not directly affiliated with these guys, to where what you do reflects upon them, these guys will probably turn a blind eye to a lot of the stuff that you do. Like, I don't know, like, oh, you, I'm not even going to say it because y'all know some of the things: heads on pikes, bridges, short drops, sudden stops, uh, making examples of people. This is your side, all right? As long as you're not reflecting poorly on them, so you don't want to be directly linked up with them, because then they'll be like, well, we got to rein them guys in because they're making us look bad. Okay? Law Farm's always been a rebel and outlaw. Let's see. Dueling pistols at dawn. Probably not. That would. Dueling pistols at dawn. Man, we need to bring back. That's what we need to bring back. If we brought back dueling, whether it be pistols or swords, yeah, we straighten out. Everybody would be a lot less offended. Just saying. Be a lot less people. I'm offended. Okay, well then you know the rules. You and the offender got a duel. So yeah, blue helmet supply drops. Well, confiscate those. Blue helmet is going to be, that's going to be part of the wokeness. All right, so they'll be helping people who, if you're in Texas and the Civil War pops off, the blue helmets will be the ones that are dropping supplies to the enemy insurgents in your area. If you're like somewhere else, don't expect help from them. At best, you might be able to get a supply drop from the Russians. I don't know. Duel with artillery. Jeez. No, Dynamite, we do not duel with artillery. Horseback and lances. Jeez. What if you can't? What if you don't have a horse? Just run at them. Yeah, that's people would have a bit more respect for one another. Yeah, they would, or they just wouldn't be. They'd either listen. If we bring back dueling, if we brought back dueling, and someone walks up to you and is like, half your size, and is just like calls you out, you might want to think twice, because he's awful confident in his dueling ability. You might want to do some research before you actually let him call you out. You might be like, "Yep, you can, you're a," and slaps you. You might just want to be like, "Yes, sir. Yes, you're correct. I am." But the ones who can't duel, they ain't gonna last too long. So anybody left after the first few months is going to be someone to be reckoned with. War axes, yeah, that'd be cool. Use a coat. I don't even know what that conversation is about. If Russia is dropping supplies, it better be vodka and Russian broads. Well, I mean, some people like 7.62 by 39 too. So if they drop a whole bunch of them, maybe RPGs, stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Mm-hmm. Anybody slaps me, they lose that arm. That's right. What was that? It was in a movie. You ain't gonna get that hand back, and he kept his hand. Eli, Book of Eli. That was a great scene. You ain't getting that hand back. You touch me again, you ain't getting that hand back. I'm not saying artillery duels are unheard of. I'm saying that's redonkulous. Okay, like Two dudes firing a cannon at each other. No, yeah, no, just no. Dynamite, no, no. Uh, yeah, no. Angry Wreck-It Ralph, 67 model, retired Army after 25 years as infantry and combat engineer, sapper. I can be pretty devious if I need to be. You don't even have to add all that. All you have to do right there, Angry Wreck-It Ralph, is put retired sapper. Okay? And those of us who know, because if you know, you know. That's all we need to know. Retired sapper. 25-year retired sapper. We know. You know how to do some stuff. Um, oh, as long as he doesn't put his hands on me, I don't care what he says. But that's the thing. Back in the day, you take the white glove out and psh, 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 you know. I challenge you. Do you accept? And if you didn't, then you was, soft. And everybody, ha ha ha. So, yeah. Uh, dueling saws at high noon. I mean, yeah. Dueling banjos. Dance fight. Oh, yeah. Show enough. Shogun of Harlem, right? Yeah. Who got the golden glow? We'll break it down like that. Heck with it. But, yeah. Oh. Let's see. Others. Other. And if you, local militia, stuff like that, if you come over to here, just realize that if your side loses, yeah, it's going to be a bad day for you because this next one, the first Civil War was civil, I guess, relatively speaking, as opposed to what this next one will be. So the next Civil War will be, it'll be bad. It will be bad. It will, it'll be some kind of hybrid between a civil war and a purge. Okay. And you will have people on both sides in their areas trying to wipe out the remnants of people who do not think, walk, talk, and act like them in their area while the whole thing is going on. Okay. So expect that. Okay. That's why we were talking earlier about the racism and tribalism and stuff like that. Yes. If it's a liberal area, they're going to try to wipe out, and there's an active civil war going on. The liberal areas are going to try to purge any conservatives in their area. And I would strongly suspect that conservatives, some parts of conservative places, would do the same in conservative strongholds, like, if Texas. But the difference is that conservatives are more likely to obey the laws of war. Your liberals and socialists are the ones who are more likely to say, those lines don't count. Why do I say this? History. That's why. History. Conservatives tend to follow rules, follow agreed upon ideals, values. Liberals, their moral values tend to be fluid. Okay, so they're the ones that you're more than likely going to see the mass graves popping up on the liberal sides of things. Just an opinion. Now, will the conservatives, like if Texas found out they knew they had a bunch of conservatives or a bunch of liberals, they want to ship them out? Yeah, I mean, they're just like they're doing with people illegally crossing their border now, putting them on buses saying, okay, you want to be over there, go over there. They'll ship them out. The conservatives or breakaway states would be more likely to ship liberals from their area to liberal controlled areas. Liberal areas would be more likely to ship conservatives to concentration camps, aka death camps, aka re-education camps. All the things that you've heard people talk about on the liberal side since the lockdowns, when they said that you needed to be re-educated, put in summer camps and things like that. Yeah. So there's that. Well, morals, same sentence. Libs, morals, same sentence. I know, right? Uh, prisoner swap. Well, it's only if they're taking prisoners. Yes, you could. I mean, prisoner swap would be kind of a touchy area because uh, how would you know what you were getting? You know, how would you know if again, back to morals and not having them. If you were, let's say Texas seceded and Texas had sent people over to fight and they got caught by the United States, and the liberals went over and executed all those people, and the liberals went over into Texas and some of them got caught. Well, Texas might be like, well, we've got these people, give us some people back. And they were like, yeah, well, we don't have them, but we got these other conservatives. A liberal would trade liberals for conservatives just to get more liberals into Texas. All right. Think about it. That would be a good strategy, wouldn't it? Hey, imagine right now, a civil war where there was no actually, where you had, opposing forces, of course. But let's say Texas captured some insurgents and the United States said, yeah, they're ours. And we captured these insurgents. How easy would it be for them to actually ship a bunch of real, highly trained liberal terrorists into Texas in exchange for their liberals that got caught the first time? And then Texas was just like, okay, thanks. Welcome to our, we'll take these people back because they are conservatives. And then you infected your own community. I mean, slave labor could start during a civil war. Absolutely. Yes, I've brought that up before. Frank Short, libtard for a conservative, but you don't know if that's actually what you're getting. You would have to have someone to vet people, and this would require the World Wide Web, all kinds. Oh, it would go deep into the vetting process. You would have to just, be very careful. Slave labor could start during a civil war. I mean, yes. Forced labor. I mean, we've seen it before. We saw it in World War II. The Japanese loved forced labor. Bridge over the River Kwai in Thailand. All right. I've been to Thailand lots of times. The bridge over the River Kwai was forced labor. All right. The Japanese loved forced labor. All right. Our allies, the Japanese today, this go around, they're our ally. We'll see what happens next go around. Last time they were Axis, this time they're allied. I don't know. It's so confusing. It's so 1984-ish that these sides keep flopping. Last time the Japanese were the Axis and the Russians were the allies and the Chinese were the allies. And this time the Russians are the Axis, the Chinese are the Axis, the Japanese are the ally. It's so confusing. But yes, I mean, even today, if you want to talk about slave labor, simply you drive down the highway. All right. That's what road crews are when it's doing. So this inmate on the back of their thing. Yeah. it's what it is. And some people will be like, well, they deserve it. Our country has the largest percentage of our population incarcerated. It's about money. All right. It's all about money. It's all about money. For those in the back, it's all about money. All right. It's all about money. So it's already going on now. Don't think it wouldn't happen during a civil war. Oh, during a civil war. Yes. Round them up, send them over here to these work camps. Okay. And if they ain't producing fast enough or they're not cost effective, put them in a hole. probably happen. Over an hour. Am I over an hour already? Yeah, hour and 4 minutes. Uh, no, I know. Normally I don't go this long. But are you guys having? As long as you guys like being on here, that's fine. Dynamite says the Italians were our allies in World War One, our enemies at the beginning of World War Two, and our allies again during World War Two. Yeah, it's like bloop 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 bloop. Debtors' prisons, yeah, all that. But right now we're leaning more towards political prisons. Okay, I mean, look at what's going on in the news. Look at what's happening every day. Look at what's happened since January of when. Yeah, we imprison political opponents and people who are on the wrong side of things politically. Absolutely. Would it get any better or less in a world in a civil war scenario? Sure. Morel the Younger says, Patton said we were fighting the wrong enemy. Well, I'm going to leave that one alone because, yeah, I'm going to leave that one alone. Warlord, do you have any seer videos you've made? No, I don't think I have. I don't know if I did. I don't think I did last year or year before. I might have, but while you're talking to the comedian, while you're talking about seer, and for those who don't know what SEER is, SERE, it's survive, evade, resist, and escape. Okay, it's how to do those things if captured or being hunted by the enemy, or you are stuck behind enemy lines. It's some a lot of special operations of the special operations community go through SEER training to one degree or another. But along with those lines, all right, in an insurgency, you would want to have tools scattered throughout the area or readily available to you to aid you in SEER, in surviving, evading, resisting, and escaping. All right, resisting is like resisting torture. Okay, escaping confinement. Okay, the last two, the RNA, the resisting, coercion, torture, whatever you want to call it, and escape are the toughest two. If you can do the first two good enough that you don't get to the third, then you don't have to worry about the fourth. All right. The easiest way to escape from the enemy is to do it before you're caught. Okay. This is where I go back to setting up safe houses, knowing people in your area who think like you but aren't capable of putting up a fight, but would be willing to say, hey, I leave the key to the back door underneath, in the bottom of the birdhouse at the pine tree out back. If you ever need it, just use it. Mark my door, mark the door with a piece of chalk so I know that you're in the basement, okay, or whatever you devise amongst you, and have a series of these set up to where that if you are in an enemy-controlled territory, you don't have too far to go to get to one of these places. All right. Also, blades, handcuff keys, things that can remove restraints. Okay. These should be cached or stashed, whichever way you want to phrase it, throughout the area, readily accessible to you in this position or with your hands behind your back, okay, to where you can access these. All right, so that way you can remove things that might be keeping you together. All right, handcuff keys are like 50 cents, 75 cents a piece. A dozen of these scattered throughout an area where, wooded area, urban area, there's all kinds of places to hide things where you can still access them. Blades, if you had to cut flexi cuffs, all right, you there are lots of videos of people with what are they called, zip ties around their wrists, and you'll see them they're doing like this, and they're breaking the zip ties. I won't say zip cuffs, I'll say zip ties. And they're like, this is how you escape from zip ties. Yeah. But professionals, militaries, law enforcement do not use zip ties. They use zip cuffs. And these things are beyond industrial grade zip ties. And you are not going to go like this and break them. I promise you, unless you are got one hell of, you got to have some muscles, and you better be able to slam your arms back. I mean, and even then, I don't see it happening, because if you've ever actually seen these things, and most of you haven't, they are incredibly thick, rugged, durable things, and you are not going to simply break your way out of them. You're going to cut yourself out of them. All right. What's going on in the chat here? Merry Christmas, there, droids. Something except am I buffering? Okay. Except the chicken one, Warlord, LOL. I'm not sure where that fell into the conversation, but I know my chicken video. Yes, know when you're being hunted. Well, dang it. Looks like I'm going to have to chew an arm off. No, I mean, you just put things in various places. That way you can, access them if you happen to be detained. Another thing is, wherever you get caught, all right, unless you are actually doing something negative to a holding facility, a FEMA camp, a jail, a prison system, something like that, they're going to have to transport you from where they got you to where they hold you. That is your, if you haven't escaped up until that point, if they got you, that is your next best time. All right, on the move. That is also the next best time when you, as somebody who didn't get caught, should be extracting that person. Okay, that's your best chance to do it successfully, is on the move up to that location. Once they're in that location, things get harder. Okay, not impossible, harder. But you want to do whatever you have to do to get away from them, put distance between, secure your freedom, get to a safe location, and then get out of the area. From the safe location, get out of the area, get back to rebel held territory. Because once they know who you are, what you look like, who your associates are, you are no longer effective as a insurgent, all right, or at least not as effective, because they will recognize you, they will hunt you, and they will hunt down anybody who is associated with you. Watch Lockpicking Lawyers. He's got some good videos. If you want to watch lockpicking, just go back and watch my lockpicking video. In fact, I handed out lockpicks to a couple people on here. It's not difficult to pick locks. Locks are different than handcuffs. Okay, there are many ways to. You can go through. You can attack a handcuff directly through the locking mechanism, or you can go through the shim where it comes around. All right, you can shim it to break connection between the teeth and the locking mechanism. So that's the best way to do it, in my opinion. My best way is to have a key. Put a key in, turn it. They even make plastic keys that you can hide on your person. Little tiny ones. They're like literally about the size of a nickel. Yeah, pretty awesome little keys. But you can hide them in your boots. You can hide them behind your belt buckles. You can hide them behind your belt. You can hide them all kinds of places. You can integrate them into your clothing. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're pretty good on tonight's topic. Again, I'll do this in black next time so that you can read along, but I also it helps so that everybody didn't jump ahead. Let's see, Warlord says that's why they make you put your hands palm out. Yeah, well, there's that. But if they're not tight enough, you can always rotate your hands. That's more of a control thing. When your palms are out behind your back, that's more of a control thing. It's easier for them to grab a hold of your hands. Not just so you can't have anything hidden, and they've got better control of your joints. Just hope you learned something. Hope you found this entertaining. Like I said, we'll get into some of the devil in the details over on Patreon once I start it up and actually activate it. We're not there yet. Baby steps. Baby steps. Anything else before we leave? I'll give you a minute to drop something in there if you want me to touch on a topic. Thanks, Steve Hall. Great information. Appreciate it. If there's anything you feel like I left out, drop it in the chat. And we'll talk about it real quick. Sherman Sales with the FJB. There you go. There you go. One thing, again, if you want something to talk about, put it down in there. One thing I want to express, please do not underestimate your enemy. It's one of the worst things that you can ever do. Do not underestimate your enemy. Do not assume that you are more tactically proficient, more knowledgeable, more aware than they are. Don't. Because if you do, you are putting nails in your coffin. Always go under the assumption that your enemy is more tactically proficient, knows more than you do, is more situationally aware. As long as it's better to overestimate your enemy's abilities than to underestimate your enemy's abilities. Okay. Bionic dragon skin. Gotcha. Okay. That would be awesome. Like dragon skin armor. Know the enemy, know your land, know yourself. Yes. And again, when you're doing these things, destabilization, local infrastructure, local commerce, local government, hit where your enemy is not. Okay? If you don't know what that means, read a book, Sun Tzu, Art of War. Read it. Apply it when it's necessary to apply. Okay? Thank you all for being here. All right, cheeseburger stand. All right, thank you all for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. I hope you're going to have a Happy New Year. We'll get on here and do this again tomorrow or the next day, maybe the day after. You never know with me. Might do 3 in one day. Might do 3 in 3 months. Don't know. But no, we're going to get more. Can't think of the term right now. I'm tired. And I'm drinking coffee, which is weird. I'm going to be more consistent for you guys. All right. Beverly, thank you for being here. And again, subscribing is free. Just push subscribe. Verify that you on the bell that it says all notifications and touch that one, because some people say I don't get notifications. Well, sometimes they change stuff. Sometimes they unsubscribe you. And if you're watching this and you're like, I can't communicate, it won't let me. It's because you're not subscribed. All right. Because I have it set that only people who really want to be here can actually talk and be part of the program. All right. So there's that. All right. Glad holidays are about over. Me too. Me too. Hello from Arizona, John Dearman. First time I've seen your name. Thank you. Arizona. I was actually contemplating going down there because I hear there's a new point down in Arizona where they're having real problems at the border. I saw it on the news tonight. Like all these people from like Somalia and places like that coming across the border. And I contemplated whether I should drive down there this week just to actually take some live footage and send my drone up. But yeah, Arizona's nice. It's, oh man, beautiful area. Drove through there on my Harley back when I first came back stateside back in 04, right after we invaded Iraq, when I came back. But yeah, beautiful out there. Hotter than heck in the summertime. Yuma, Arizona. Whew. They also fly drones out of Yuma. I don't know if you're supposed to tell people that. But okay. Good night. God bless. To my baby sharks, Daddy loves you, and I'm glad you had a really happy Christmas. And I'll see you all again real soon, sooner than you think. All right. God bless all of you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Goodbye.